All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have a very special guest with us. If you know anything about Two Beers Deep and Thoughts on the Bench, we pretty much adore everything that VoodDoo's ever come out with, mainly because Greg spent every second of his adult life in Greenfield, and I recently moved there.
Yep.
But with us right now is Tom Ness. Tom, what's up, man? Thank you very much for coming on, buddy, and we really appreciate it.
What's up, guys? Thanks for having me.
Of course, dude. So I want to dive right into it because I want to know how you got into designing. So you design the cans, the logos, the box itself. You design everything for VoodDoo, right?
And speaking of the cans too, like real quick, I just want to congratulate you because I recently saw that Thirsty Bastards, the blog out in Chicago, nominated Why Magic of the Sun as one of the top brewery labels for 2021. Which is really cool to see that a brewery like that was getting some pub like that.
I'm holding up the can right now.
Yeah, for anyone to see.
Hell yeah. No, thank you. That was super surprised, and I was very excited just to even be thought of.
That's awesome, man.
I think you were ripped off, though.
Oh, yeah?
Because Lacto Cooler is holographic.
Yeah, I mean, dude, from collecting cards when I was a kid, I'm like, I need a holographic.
Yeah, right.
label.
Right? This is the coolest fucking can ever. Our good friend Ryan Thompson, who is the beer director, I guess, at Whole Foods in Wexford, showed me this can like almost a year ago, and he was like, this is it. Like, he's like, this is the greatest can I've ever seen. It looks like Slimer as a holographic card. It's the coolest fucking can I've ever seen, and the beer tastes awesome.
Yes.
Hell yeah, thank you.
So getting into it, Tom, how did you start with VoodDoo? How did you start designing cans itself? Because it's one of those things that we all joke about. Like, every guy has said once in their life, I want to start a brewery. But you are the actual guy doing it. So how did you get started with all this?
I mean, funny enough, I was just straight out of college. I was working at a beer distributor a couple blocks down from VoodDoo, and I just started washing kegs and helping them bottle for free, just working for beer, whatever. Got a couple shifts bartending, and then they're like, "Hey, what'd you go to school for?" I'm like, "Oh, actually, I went for illustration and graphic design." They're like, "Oh, do you want to start doing some tap markers?" And it just kind of built from there now I kind of do it all, which is crazy to think, but yeah, it started from just hanging out and drinking beer.
So something I was always kind of curious about with that, when you're essentially designing a label or kind of like the colors with it, how much of a process is kind of built on based on what the name of the beer is or what kind of style of it is? Is it how much of a collaboration is really involved with that when you're trying to come up with something like this?
I mean, I'd say a lot of it. I mean, if you know our beers, a lot of them are references to movies or music or all that. So I always like to incorporate as much as I can. Like when I'm designing a label, like if it's based off of a song, I try to listen to a bunch of music from that genre or whatever and try to get like a feel of what it would be. As far as like color, I mean, like Lacto Cooler had to be like, it's a wild beer. It's like super sour. Super
for
sweet.
Sure.
Yeah.
Had to be like bright green, make it holographic. Like it all absolutely plays a huge part in it.
Who you
And
gonna
it's
call?
like,
Hell yeah.
Lacto Cooler.
Yeah, right?
So when it comes to all the cans and everything, I think that the one thing that Greg and I were talking about, so we recently started doing our brewery reviews again and having people on in the beer realm in Pittsburgh. One of the things that is obviously, always at the forefront is how uniform cans can be. And I have a brother that works at 1700, which is a Helltown location. So Helltown, it's a very sleek can, just the name of the beer. You guys have like, and it's one of my favorites, but I can always tell a VoodDoo can because it has the same theme of art, even though every can is so drastically different and unique. But it carries over.
It is. It's 90s cartoons with skateboarding. That's what that's the vibe.
Yeah, no, but it carries over from can to can, and it feels like each can, I know it's VoodDoo, even though the can is so drastically different. Is that something like, I mean, obviously I feel like logically it plays a part, but is that something you set out as a goal to have, or is that just kind of how it happened?
Yeah, funny enough, you bring it up. Absolutely. When I first started like really fully redesigning, especially like our core brands that like Good Vibes, Love Child, all that stuff, one of the main goals in mind was to make it all look uniformly identifiable. Yeah. Like when you see like a McKellar beer on the shelf, you don't even have to read them like, oh, that's McKellar. Like anything of that harken. So absolutely, like we changed the layout of the can to make it art forward, and just hopefully it all like picked up like, oh, that's a weird, gross son that has to be VoodDoo. Let's go with that.
Oh, that's
absolutely.
How much of that has played in, or how much inspiration did you get from Flying Dog? Because that was the first like craft beer I think that I remember having different labels for every beer, but they were all the same style.
No, for sure. From working when like I said, I worked at beer shipper for like 3-4 years, and dude, I tried every flying dog, every beer I could get my hand on. I tried. Absolutely, they for those Ralph Steadman style artworks, they stood out so much. I always loved like the rough splatter, all that. Like,
Yeah.
that definitely was a huge inspiration when me getting started, for sure.
Ralph Steadman.
Do you want to go next, Greg?
Oh no, go ahead. I'm still trying to process all
No,
this stuff.
Tom, I think that you're one of the cooler guests we've ever had, man, because it's the whole craft beer switch has been wonderful. Like the fact that people care about beer and the fact that breweries can pop up everywhere at any point. Like we went to 412 and just it's such a small shop, but it's such a beautiful operation.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the craft beer realms of things, cans seem to be a pretty differentiating factor when it comes to buying cans. And it's like, oh, I'm buying this beer because there's 7 hazies on here, but that can is the one I want.
Right.
But with all that stuff, are there other cans, like branching off Josh's questions, that you just love or take inspiration from? Because obviously Flying Dog is a big one, and there's some really cool, unique cans that are coming out nowadays. Are there any that you take inspiration from or really enjoy?
I mean, absolutely. I mean, I've like I said earlier, McKellar was always a huge one. Especially, I used to run events at VoodDoo, and I got to travel overseas to Copenhagen and do McKellar's big beer festival. It was so much fun. I got to meet everybody along with them, like Resident Culture. We did a collaboration with them. We got to meet those guys. They're super nice. Their art's super badass. And then even just like you said earlier, like just super clean designs of like Other Half, like Cloudwater, all those like. I'd like it'd be stupid not to pay attention to everybody else pretty much. So, like, my Instagram's all just like different beer artists, and yeah.
So Tom, just real quick, based off of a lot of the different can designs that you've done, because I mean they're very unique with regards to that. Is there any one that you've done in particular that you take kind of the most pride in?
I mean, we do a lot of different labels. Like I enjoyed like they're good to hops brand because I have a dog. I was able to put on the label. That was super fun for me. I just enjoy like with each new label, I get to create something new, weird, and different. And I like to really gauge like the public's opinion on it makes it more fun for me. Like we just released Treveza like a week ago.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, I had a comment on it. Somebody's like, "Wow, this drawing is pure nightmare fuel." I'm like, oh, "Hell yeah."
That's gotta feel good.
Like,
yeah,
that's one of the best compliments I can get.
Yeah,
seal of approval.
Personally, one of my favorite ones, and I think this is one of your newer ones, the Secret Pizza Party. I think that one is great.
Yeah, like I immediately like, all right, I get to redesign this one. So immediately started watching that movie. I'm like, I'll try to get a feel for like just that scene get kicked out of the van. Yeah, super fun. And I love like the American flag font. It was a lot of fun to draw.
Well, and Josh might be the only person here that's able to feel you on the next question I'm going to ask, because my background is a little bit different, and Greg's background than Josh. He works in a format where you kind of have to be the decision maker for a final product. How do you know when a can's ready? You know what I mean? Like, how do you know when it's, oh, that's the logo, that's the label? Because like I'm drinking Good Vibes right now, and there's so much on it, but it's it's like the perfect amount of everything. It feels like a Where's Waldo with your drawings. But how do you know? How do you know? And you're like, oh shit, that's the one. That's it. That's the label.
There's definitely like a really good creative back and forth with myself and Kurt, the brewer of VoodDoo. We, with every label, with the names, the artwork, and everything, we kind of go back and forth. He's like, all right, this is the idea I have going on.
Yeah.
Try to make it like how you want to. And I show him this. He's like, all right, maybe we'll drop, I don't know, that. And I'm like, all right, can I draw like a dude swimming with his butt in the water? He's like, yeah, go for it. I don't know.
That's awesome, though.
Yeah, it's definitely like, I don't know, it's a very like free-flowing, collaborative type of environment. And it just, I don't know, at one point you both look at it and be like, that's the one. Yeah, let's roll with it.
That's awesome, though.
It has been 2 minutes since Copenhagen's been mentioned.
I'm about to blow my top.
Sweden.
We have a running joke, Tom. So there's 2 of the guys on Thoughts of the Bench, myself and then Justin Boyd, that have been to Sweden. And I'm trying to be as professional as possible, but every time that I can mention that I've been to Sweden, I drop it on these guys. So I will say, Natty, the fact that he's been to Copenhagen, I'm not going to say I've been to Sweden, but I've been to Sweden.
Doing it. Yeah.
That's how we're going to go into it.
Hell yeah, absolutely.
Tom, these guys can't get into it as much as I can with you. Let's talk favorite designers, man. James Victori, Chip Kidd, Steven Stagmeister. Who are your inspirations? Timothy Goodman's one of mine.
I mean, I definitely like when I went to college, my initial like source, like what I was going for was fine art. So it was absolutely all fine art,
Love it.
art history. I loved like traditional paintings by like Monet, Van Gogh. Like I love going to museums, but it definitely shifted like to weird comic book style arts. Like there's a guy who used to live in Erie who moved out to California named Dave Quiggle. He does like tattoo style artwork. Huge inspiration to me. I got to talk to him like when I was in college and like ask like pick his brain how he like got to where he was. And just a lot of like weird, like you said, honestly, like dudes who do design for different skateboards, like clothing companies were always a huge inspiration, like Drop Dead Clothing, like all that fun stuff. It's really hard to pick one. Like I'm always bouncing back and forth.
So then, let me ask you this: the Killer Pills can.
Yeah.
Can you tell me with a straight face that this is not inspired by the Powerpuff Girls?
Dude, I love, yeah, absolutely love
Right?
Powerpuff Girls.
Let's
no,
go.
I mean, I shamelessly, yeah,
I would have
like,
never guessed that. That's
Oh,
hilarious.
this looks like Townsville is being attacked by the Killer Pills, and the
Yeah,
Powerpuff
like-
Girls are about to come help out.
yeah, like Mojo Jojo might be like bouncing out behind
Very
a building.
cartoonish.
Oh
Absolutely.
my
yeah, fuck
god,
yeah.
that'd
Yeah,
be great
man.
if that was the case.
Oh,
Yeah, I definitely took like, especially with eating artwork now, I took a lot of inspiration from like early cartoons and that stuff. And even like current cartoons that I was watching through like high school, like Adventure Time was always a huge inspiration for me. Love that show. And I just continue to watch different movies, a lot of like animated movies by like Studio Ghibli, all that stuff. I love it.
I want to dive into this goddamn resealable, reclosable box you guys have. Because Tom, I don't think you understand how much you
It's
changed
behind
my
you.
perspective. Yeah,
His
I don't think you understand how much you changed my perspective on what is possible when buying beer. Because the fact that I can close that bad boy back up
Yeah, right?
and just walk around with it and it doesn't fall out, it's nothing crazy, is amazing. So
I still remember the
Clearly, I was
video you
unable
showed me.
to reseal it, but
I still remember the video that you showed me when you like took a video of yourself showing me this box and just how.
Oh yeah, I don't know who
mind-blown
runs
was
your
for this.
social, but I put a video up and I was like, "This is the coolest box of any buying beer." How, like, were you involved in the concept of that? Was there a because like I have never seen that and it's amazing.
I mean, yeah, I didn't get to choose the box we were going to use, but it was definitely shown to me
Yeah.
what I was going to be designing on. That was like a call by like Mateo, our CEO. He chose like that and our original mother cart and the one with like the window in it. Like that was all his, yeah.
That's
But I mean,
awesome.
yeah. And then each of those, their different challenges with like trying to figure out how like things fold around a box and work in 3D when I normally work in like 2D basically.
So, Tom, something I kind of want to get into. So, I remember VoodDoo kind of early on because I remember when the Homestead location was open. So, I remember your original designs for what you had for your beer. And these guys kind of talked about it too, where your designs kind of were almost 180 compared to that. What was kind of the idea behind wanting to almost turn it upside down based on trying to create something completely brand new and unique for VoodDoo itself?
I think the reason behind trying to make that switch is they had hit like a turning point of where they had been getting a name for themselves for a while, but they really want to set themselves apart. And like that was at the same time, like when I came on, like Man Bear Pig was coming out, and they were really getting known for like their BA stouts, and we were getting like like worldwide recognition for the beers they were making. And they're like, all right. And that was also at the time that Matt Allen left the company, so they're like, all right, we need to start off brand new. We're doing a shit ton of BA stouts, big IPAs, and we're flipping our art and going in this way.
Yeah, and weirdly enough, that kind of fits with the VoodDoo kind of mindset too, because your beers are very bold and heavy in all seriousness, like for the majority of them. So it kind of makes sense that your artwork would kind of go with that as well. Big, bold, colorful, kind of matching with that.
Yeah. No, when I came on, they were definitely not afraid of bright colors, which is great. So they're like, no, just every time I got a design, they'd be like, no, dude, we get full color print. Use as many colors as you want. I'm like, oh, hell yeah.
You were like a kid in the candy store, basically, when that happened.
That's the magic word there for you, dude.
Yeah, whatever you want.
That's awesome. So, I don't know, what's your favorite style of beer?
Typically what I usually drink is right now I'm drinking a Boddington's, which I love, like a pub ale. But
is that the one with the bee on it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's got that little guy right there.
Yeah, there it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a good. That's a very the consistency of it. It's very liquid. It's very much like water, and it's so smooth. You would like
absolutely.
it. He's a big Guinness guy.
I love Guinness.
He would like the consistency
Favorite
of
beer.
Buddington. Yeah.
Yeah, I did a beer fest for Northern Monk. So I went to England and I had a bunch of pints of just cask beer, and I was like craving that recently, so I went and got some of those.
So where haven't you been in Europe?
Those are like the only two.
All right.
Been to Sweden.
Been to
Gotta
Sweden.
Yeah.
Oh,
been
of
to
course.
England.
There's
All right,
another
cool.
one. Thanks.
When we were in
Humble brag.
Copenhagen, we went to Belgium because we
Nice.
had to hit up Cantillon and
Yep.
get drunk all day.
We have somebody in the comment section brought up a. I don't think you're gonna like it, Tom, but they want to pitch a design idea: a vintage Jersey Shore or Jersey themed can. I read Jersey Shore. Jesus,
Wow.
what the fuck is wrong with me?
I don't know.
A vintage Jersey themed can. I don't exactly know what vintage Jersey means in terms of smalls.
I would
I
think
don't
like old hockey sweater, maybe with like the laces on the top. something
Yeah, I
that,
like that.
kinda maybe.
So
That'd
they
be
run
cool.
a.
You're maybe like old school all stars like Charles Barkley.
Oh,
Yeah.
that'd be
If
cool.
you can give me, honestly, I think the best collaboration on the planet would be if Coors worked with the Utah Jazz for that old purple logo, and it was the
That'd
mountaintops.
be
Yeah,
That'd be baller.
That'd be cool.
Oh, small as you and your show. They do a show called The Vault, and they go through Jersey. They say you got it, so you've passed the vault check apparently, Tom, which is good.
Like I got stopped watching sports in the '90s, so anything vintage is cool.
Well, Jersey's got
I mean,
super
yeah,
lame
Yeah,
after
you
that,
got out
bro.
at the right point. Yeah.
Although the '90s is when all the wild shit came out, so when you
Right.
think about
Fair.
it, like you left at the peak.
Yeah.
True. Hey,
Leave it on
walk
top.
away. Yeah, walk away at the fucking peak, man. That's
So
the beauty of it.
what is your favorite VoodDoo beer?
My favorite voodoo beer. There's this it was a pub exclusive they made forever ago, but it was a super sessionable light IPA called Summertime's Living Easy.
Mhm.
It was like a 3% IPA, but it had like Galaxy Motueka
Oh,
and like
wow.
else. It was stupid delicious and so crushable. Absolutely a favorite. I don't know. We don't make it
No,
very
yeah,
often.
I don't think you guys
because-
have ever made a bad beer.
Yeah,
so
the
it's
idea.
kinda-
Well, first off, the idea of a light beer in general for you guys is like blowing my mind because that just does not compute for me.
Well,
Usually when we make a light beer, so that beer, the reason they made that beer is they take a weekend off and get drunk in Kinzu. So they made a beer that they could drink all weekend.
Oh, that's so
That was
cool.
why.
They made it for them. That's the. I
That's
mean, there's
amazing.
a purpose. That's
I-
what you need.
I
Whatever
Yeah,
you
that was the same. That was the same reason how like we got empty calories. We used to just spend stupid money on PBR in Busch Light, and we're like, we make beer.
Yeah.
We should just
Well,
make
that's
that beer.
that's actually funny that you bring that up because we actually recently had someone from Cinderlands on the show, and they
yeah.
kind of referenced that most craft brewers, their favorite beer to go to is usually like the PBRs or the Miller Lights because they're just going to be the ones that they want to crush and drink. So Cinderlands actually made their own light beer.
They had the little
Yep.
Cindy.
Yeah, the little Cindy. So it's kind of that's interesting you bring that up when you talk about PBR and stuff like that.
No, I'm sure most breweries light beer. That was the reason.
Yeah, man. And are there breweries that you got like that you're a fan of in Pittsburgh? Because we've done a few of them, and there's some that are very prominent, some that are a little more hole in the wall. Are there any other breweries that you enjoy?
I mean, I love going down to Cinderlands. Makes amazing beer. I got some Trace last week.
Yeah.
Super great beers.
oh,
We just had Adam from Soren from Trace on last week, and dude, I was blown away by their venue and their beer. It was
Yeah,
awesome.
dude, crazy. We're super good friends with Andy at Hitchhiker and Mikey, who just went to Necromancer. Like,
Yeah.
super fun to hang out with. When I was in England, we were with the Dancing Gnome guys. They're
Oh,
super
no way.
fun. Yeah, super fun dudes. I mean, this beer community is like some of the nicest people I've ever met.
Yeah,
It's so awesome.
something I always kind of noticed about that too is that with regards to the community, especially in Pittsburgh or just all around, it's very much a collaborative effort. Like there's never really, you don't get the vibe that you're competing against one another. It's kind of like one of those things that we welcome you with open arms and you just kind of want to help out and work together, create something pretty new. Is that kind of the same vibe that you get as well?
No, absolutely. It's almost like a collaborative environment where you kind of bounce off ideas. You get together, you talk. Like, oh, I love the beers you're doing.
Yeah.
Can I come up and like check out your place? Maybe we'll do. And then you just, I don't know. It's super fluid, super nice. Everyone's like, well, like this is how I do my IPAs.
Yeah.
Maybe you should try it. And then we'll like, I've never done this. Like, let's fuck around and see what happens. Yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome, though. Timmy writes in, would you guys ever consider doing a double-sided label like Dancing Gnome?
I would love to do that. Yeah, absolutely.
That would
I
be dope.
remember, I think it was a collab with McKellar and Tired Hands. They made an art print label that was super dope. I'd love to do something like that too.
Mhm.
Oh, that'd be awesome. And that's the thing is, like, I'm sure there's things that you guys decide and you want to push the boundaries of what you're able to put on the labels and put on the boxes and stuff like that. What I don't want to like pry, but what's next for you guys? Like, do you have anything that you know, beers that are coming up or any events coming up for VoodDoo that you can promote or anything like that?
Events are hard. I mean, as you know.
Obviously, yeah.
Well, I know that at least the Meadville location, you guys were doing social friendly events towards the midway point of last year, where there, you know, you were posting pictures of it, and it looks like a massive venue. So I'm super geeked to get up there.
Yeah.
But it looks like you guys were at least doing it and trying your best to make it happen in tough times.
No, absolutely. Yeah, we definitely have bumped up our on-site events. We never used to do comedy, so we brought comedy to the
awesome.
compound where we are. We got a cornhole tournament coming, just like whatever random shit coming up.
Well, you spoke to our producer's ear right there.
We have a cornhole team, so we got three guys that played in the. Is it the
PSL?
PSL. Thank you. I almost said GPSL.
Champions, 2-time champions. Not a humble brag.
Yeah, he's humble bragging right now. Yeah.
Hell yeah. I mean, as far as beer coming up, we definitely have some fun things in the work. I'm designing a new case of experimental beers that are going to go into bottles coming out. It's going to be a rotating series. I'm excited about that.
That's pretty cool.
Definitely some different platforms of beers that'll be coming out, which will be fun.
Nice.
To stay tuned on that stuff.
Hell
But
yeah,
there's always fun stuff in the workings.
Yeah, and so I mentioned when we were talking a little bit before the show, I just want to talk about your locations. So obviously the one that we're the most familiar with is the Homestead location, but there's obviously the New Kent location that just opened, which is an awesome venue, and then obviously the Meadville location up there. I'm assuming you've been to all of them and have been able to see them.
There's also the Erie location. I think there's I think there's a Grove City location too, actually, which really threw me off when I heard that. Yeah.
See,
they're everywhere.
Yeah, that's awesome though. And
do you guys want to essentially just take over Pennsylvania, or at least like the western side of the state in some sort of way, or
trying to make it that it's like 20 minutes to the next VoodDoo. So
gotcha.
I love that.
Yeah, that's funny.
You guys should get the same frequency as the Sheets, where it's every 2 minutes. There's
yeah.
Yeah.
They'll probably be like corner to corner.
Competing with each other, man. That's awesome, though. So one last question for you. You say you're not much of a sports guy, right? Are you?
No, not.
But you're a big movie guy.
I like movies. Yeah, absolutely.
How do you feel about Lucky Number 11?
I did not see it.
So we have a show on Wednesdays that Josh runs called Thoughts in the Movies, where they talk movies. And when Josh went to LA for vacation, I was able to sit in on the show, and I got to pick a movie, so I picked Lucky Number 11. It is
such an
piece
underrated
of shit,
movie.
awesome action movie.
I think it is underrated action movie.
I think it's an underrated movie too. It's so great. The cast
Morgan
in
Freeman is in it, man. Ben Kingsley.
Morgan Freeman, Ben Kingsley, Bruce Willis, Lucy Liu. I mean, come on.
What's like
star cast?
What's your genre though, Tom? Like, what do you get into?
I like horror. I like horror stuff, thrillers, a lot of animated stuff. True. I don't know. I will watch anything.
Yeah, no, that's
not picky.
Moorhead is the big horror guy with us, so he's been
ranking
forever, but
the ranking. I'm surprised he hasn't done more horror related.
It's because he scares the shit out of us.
Yeah,
he's like my cousin, but he introduced me to horror movies. Like, I never knew of horror movies until he's like, I have all 17 Chucky movies. Yeah. I'm like, you are like 14. Like, what the fuck is happening?
Tom, he did a ranking once that showed us the top 10. What was it? His top
Saw.
Yeah, his
Saw
top
torture devices.
His top 10 favorite Saw torture devices. I wasn't prepared for it at all. I'm just staring at the screen, and all of a sudden, I just see a fucking bear trap around a dude's head, and I'm like, what in the world, man?
It was awesome.
I don't need this now.
Yeah, that's a wild top 10. I wouldn't think of it. Hell yeah.
That's great, man. Tom, we want to thank you so much for being on, dude. This has been amazing, and it's nice to finally get to talk to somebody that is on the design side of it, because we very much talk to brewers traditionally, or people that were behind the start of it. So can't stress this enough, guys. VoodDoo is, I think, consistently put in our favorite brewery.
Best birthday I ever had was
Pittsburgh.
at the Homestead location.
Homestead location?
Yep, absolutely trashed off of Golden Child with orange juice.
You go.
Was how they were serving it.
There it is. Tom, you are welcome back anytime, man. We hope you had some fun here today, brother. If you guys have anything coming out in the near future that you want to jump on a show and promote to it, let us know.
Yeah, we will gladly plug the shit out of VoodDoo Brewing, man. We love you guys.
Your shit's great. VoodDoo shit's great. We couldn't appreciate it more, brother.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it, too.
Of course. Guys, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be back with a couple topics before the Rank King.